Hey there, I'm super excited to introduce you to two people that have a big announcement to make about what's happening this year. And I'm going to introduce you to Allison Walden and Dawne Stafford in a moment. But before I do, I want to say this. I am so excited about what is about to happen and that we are having this conversation now to give people a preview of what you all have been working on. So, Allison, introduce yourself. I'm going to bring you in, tell the audience a bit about who you are and what the big announcement is, and then we'll bring Dawne in.
Great. Thanks so much, Tracy. Hi, everyone. I'm Allison Walden. I oversee the fundraising, membership, and engagement department at the Tulsa Regional Chamber. I've actually been at the Chamber for 15 years, and it is the first time ever that we are doing an event series quite like this. The secret is out. The Tulsa Chamber is promoting and producing a women's programming series. We actually piloted and kicked off the series kind of in a beta test last fall, and Tracy was our keynote speaker. It was so successful that we knew that we had no other choice but to put forward a series for 2026, and we have our first event coming up.
I love that. And listen, I was honored to be invited to be the speaker. And that morning, I just remember leaving thinking, oh, this isn't going to be a one and done. There was so much enthusiasm in that room. And there were so many people that were, I think, hungry for having the content that we delivered. Dawne, you were in the room that day, if I remember right. So I'd like to introduce Dawne Stafford now. Tell us a little bit about you and how you fit into this conversation.
Thank you. I'm Dawne Stafford, CEO of Security Bank here in Tulsa. And I did participate in the first seminar session that we had in September and really enjoyed hearing Tracy speak. I'm also on the board of the Chamber. And my role there is as vice chair of resource development. So I work with Allison side by side. Mostly I just tag along with whatever she's working on. But, one thing that's unique is that there are really a lot of women who will participate in chamber activities, lunches, meetings, events that are going on. But what's unique about this is this opportunity where we can really focus on the unique challenges that women may face or opportunities that they experience. So I think this is a great program that the Chamber is kicking off.
I do too. And Dawne, I don't know about you, but I wish I would have had some of these seminars much earlier in my career. How about you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not a big advocate of women versus men in different rooms for business settings. But there's no doubt about it that there's just unique things that are different. And there's kind of a safe zone or a comfort that when you have an session or a program with women speakers presenting to women, it's a whole different communication. And I think that women will really appreciate that, especially some younger professionals.
Agreed. I remember the first time I was invited to do a women-only leadership training. It's been many years ago now, and I remember thinking, come on, what's the big deal? And then I stood in front of the room and started having some conversations and realized I had, definitely been trying to just fit in and just be one of the guys, and yet I was treated a little bit differently. And so I think that awareness for me when I went, hey, wait a minute, I do have to be a little bit softer. I do have to work a little bit differently. The awareness of that. So we're not going to say that that's good or bad, right or wrong. Let's just say it's different, and not in everything that we do. But what's been the biggest difference for you, Dawne, as you think about how you have navigated your career to be CEO of a bank? Congratulations, amazing. What have you observed that women really need to be thinking about, or they need to learn to play at the level that you're playing at right now?
Well, it's been a long career, so it's been a while to get there for sure. But, I think a lot of it is about confidence. How you present yourself when you walk into a room, how you manage the conversation. So, I think women through education or experience, they gain confidence that they need in order to project the right image and do a good job.
I think you're right. I think confidence is the thing. I would assume you were like me. I just agreed with everything most of my career, unfortunately. and didn't find my voice until much later in my career. And I found my voice when somebody pulled me out of a meeting and said, listen, if you're not going to have an opinion about anything, we don't even need you to be in the meeting. And that was the first time I was like, oh, okay, wait a minute. And that wasn't because of the guys around the table, right? That was because I just didn't have enough confidence in my voice. So I love that that's the thing that you're zeroing in on.
Well, and I kind of equate it to being the person who puts out fires sometimes. So when things would come up at work and they need somebody to jump on top of it, I just raised my hand and tried to be part of that. And then the reward was I did gain confidence in myself. I became trusted by the people that I worked with, and those were really important steps to take when you're younger, I think.
For sure. And there's no doubt you should be leading one of these sessions. So Allison, I'll bring you back in. Talk a little bit about what you have lined up for this year for the people that are interested in attending.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think Dawne absolutely indicated something really important and really insightful, because actually confidence is the topic of your presentation in February. We're going to be at the Tulsa Club Hotel on February 26th, sorry. And I want you to be able to talk about that a little bit. But in addition to your talk in February, we're also going to be having 2 more sessions, one on April 23rd and one on September 24th. Now, we are not necessarily going to debut our speakers yet. We're going to keep them secret and make sure that everyone knows who our April speaker is at the February event, and registration will open. But I will say that this event series has surpassed our expectations very early on. We are kind of catering to a sold out crowd, working really hard to find larger venues, and really having to think bigger a lot faster than we ever intended. And so the appetite is certainly there, to Dawne's point, about creating a space where people feel comfortable and relaxed to be themselves and to learn from each other. And so we're really excited at the Chamber that we're able to provide that.
Well, I know who your April speaker is, and I'm not going to give it away, but I'm going to be in the audience for sure. I mean, you're, the people that that you've been kind of telling me a little bit about, who have an interest in giving back and also providing some content. So, I wish I could just spill the beans, but I'm not going to do it. But I will be there for sure, if at all possible. So, listen, as I think about just a bunch of super smart people getting in a room, thinking about how to show up a little bit differently, how to step into their power. I mean, that's not just reserved for women, yet it might be a bit different. The conversation will be more intimate, to Dawne's point, that it's a safe space. It's easier to say, oh, wow, I have been walking in, sitting on the, in the chairs around the periphery of the meeting instead of taking my seat at the table, all those things that we've heard in the past. But my session in February is going to be about how can you make small incremental changes that will change how people experience who you are and how you can grow your confidence. So, Dawne, I'm relying on you to help me a little bit that day, if you're up for it.
Well, I will tell you, I heard Tracy speak in September, and there's no doubt that everybody will come away with just some little nugget, of advice that you have that's relevant to their situation. That's the way I felt about it before. We all have traveled different paths, but I think everybody will find that there's a lot of similarities, and they'll really appreciate your insight and advice.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I will learn as well, right? I always do, for sure. My topic is going to be about self-limiting beliefs. What's the software that runs in your head? What keeps you from, stepping into your power? I spend a lot of time thinking about and, working through, like, what does it look like? How can somebody have this story that they tell themselves that keeps them playing small? How can they make some changes that can change how they show up? So, walking in to a room where maybe people have bigger business cards than you have, and yet knowing you have the opportunity to influence that meeting as much as anybody else that's sitting around the table. And what does that mean? And what happens if you don't do that? Again, a lot of my lessons are because I did it wrong for so long. So, I can tell you, I can speak intimately about how I wasted 10 years of my career easily, or probably more, by not, really understanding and realizing that, what I had to say was important, and, how to do that a little bit differently. I'll give you some scripts. about how to influence rooms a little bit differently as well. But I don't know. I'm excited about this session because I do think everybody has that little internal voice, that critic. You either are wired with an internal critic or an inner critic or an inner coach. I'm wired probably more with an inner critic, but I'm sure I'm working on that inner coach. And that's what we're going to talk about, how you can get that inner coach to be in your ear a little bit more than your inner critic. So I don't know. Tell us a little bit more, Allison. What else do people need to know about the upcoming meetings or about what the Chamber's doing?
Yeah, for sure. Well, a few final thoughts. Who is this event series for? Well, certainly everyone is welcome. Of course, I mentioned we have some capacity issues for February, so don't despair. We are working to make sure that anyone who is interested can attend for April and September, and we'll make sure we unveil those details as soon as we have them. But we at the Chamber are very fortunate to have a very thriving business community that includes a lot of women executives. I know Dawne mentioned that. But we at the Chamber started asking the question, well, who else? Who is not here? Who have we not had an opportunity to get to know? Who is developing within their organizations, maybe even managing people, budgets, or processes or programs, but hasn't yet been asked to step onto that nonprofit board or hasn't yet been asked to serve in a senior leadership or executive position, but certainly has all of the capacity to do so and the capability. They may just need some additional support, or maybe the timing is just not right for them yet. I mean, they're emerging in their careers. And so we wanted to make sure to make the table broad and wide and leave no stone unturned, if you will, in making sure that women at any level of their career, if they're poised to think bigger and to do more, to find this Women Program Series a place where they can be fed and they can meet other people that are like-minded and interested in supporting other women.
Ooh, I love that. Listen, I got every promotion that I got because somebody else said, hey, you'd be good at this. I never thought about what I wanted. And so that goes back to that competence piece, that this is some of the curriculum that I know some of the other speakers, because I know them, will be talking about, is how you can, not just take what is offered to you, but think differently. Like, what is it that you're passionate about? What are your gifts? What are your strengths? What gives you joy? And how can you integrate that into the workplace and creating the job that you want? I never even thought about doing that. Dawne, how about you? Have you just... So you have this big job now as CEO, but did you know all along during your career that that's where you wanted to be, or were you taking your cues from other people?
Absolutely taking my cues from other people. I mean, I can remember specific times when I wondered if I'd like my new boss, and somebody said, why aren't we applying for the job? And that was a wake-up moment. I was like, well, you're right. I can do that. So, it was outside influences that often gave me the nudge. Whether it was from family or friends or just somebody else in the office who had respect for you or trusted you, that type of thing. But I have always been kind of encouraged to take the next step. But I like what you said also about bringing your joy to it, because I do think that, women think differently than men do. And so we do bring a different perspective, just a different conversation. There's no reason why we have to dress and act like men when we're in a professional position.
Use our strengths. Yeah. So, we talk a lot about it at the Leader Lab, about personal board of directors. And as I think about my career, all of the nudges that I've been given, men and women, by the way, that have said, hey, wait a minute, you would be good at this, and let that inform me, but not decide for me. But I think about all those people that have nudged me in different ways. And that's also one of the benefits of this series that's about to happen, is everybody that attends is going to be sitting around the table with a bunch of other super smart women that are, that can perhaps, whether it's be mentors or be a support system. And I travel all over the world, as you both know, but I love the support in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I love that there's so many other women cheering me on. If we can all help cheer each other on in the room, I can't imagine this isn't going to be time well spent for anybody that's listening. Yes?
Yes, that's absolutely right. Because admittedly, the chamber itself, it does not prescribe the ways in which business should operate. We don't operate businesses. We don't run businesses. Of course, we run an organization, but really the chamber's superpower is in convening other people and then stepping back and watching the magic happen. And so for us, the Women's Programming Series is our gift to the community. And we're really excited about what will happen kind of even outside of our hands because people showed up at this event and connected with each other.
Listen, you and I have done this before, Allison, right? We've, whether not just last September, many years ago, we sat in rooms and talked about a robust women's leadership program, and 500 women showed up, I believe, within a couple of years. And so I can see the future of this. I can see hundreds of women cheering for each other, learning from each other, and having a safe space to go have some of these conversations. And I just want to say, as a lifelong Tulsan, I'm just so grateful that the Chamber has made this a priority. I'm so grateful the Chamber is willing to, be the convener, as you described it, and the facilitator for this. And I'm super grateful that people like Dawne are stepping in and helping, because that is our part now, right? It's to reach down and help, reach out and help people, live into their potential. So they don't waste a bunch of time like I did. All right. Well, with that, anything else? Final words. Dawne, anything else?
Yeah, I hope that maybe some women that are small business owners will find out about this too and want to join. I think the message gets out to women that are in corporate positions because that communication line is there. But, there's no braver person than somebody who owns their own business and shoulders all the burdens of the finance and the personnel and the marketing and everything. And, that's a different type of woman professional that I hope will be able to join this networking opportunity.
Well said. Well said. Allison.
Well, I just thank you so much that you inspire Tulsans all across this community, and you have served as one of the mentors and champions for women in this community. And you're right. We worked on a women's event multiple years ago that you spearheaded. And I just called you and said, you're doing amazing things. I want to be a part of it. And so for the Chamber to be able to continue in that vein and support women in the community, I think we're all on the same page that it's needed and there's enthusiasm around it. And we're just excited to have a part to play.
Super exciting. Well, listen, I know for sure Dawne has to be on my podcast as a guest soon. Dawne, are you up for that? Please say yes.
I'll say yes.
You started. Yeah, we are starting to say what's involved in it. Well, listen, that'll be it. I hope that we get to see those of you that are listening in at one of the upcoming meetings. And just a giant thank you for all you're doing, Allison, at the Chamber. And Dawne, appreciate your time today as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy.